Yeah, I think maybe an unmaintained home may be a good deal in this market.
Well, might be, and yet most people want a maintained property.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
We're excited that we've created for you free access to over 503 Life's Inside Track episodes where we share techniques around really how to get the most out of your house, insider tips for real estate, and how to just do the best you can possibly do in the current real estate market. And the great news is you get access to them from home, from office, or even on the go. So in this episode, what we're going to discover is why an unmaintained and dismissed, because usually unmaintained equals dismissed, property might be an amazing choice for you.
Yeah, and you said it right at the very beginning. You said something about why would I want, I said you want an unmaintained home. You said, no, most people want a maintained home.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, because in this hot market where there's a ton of buyers, you separate yourself because fewer people want the unmaintained home. Mm-hmm. Most people want the one they move into that's decorated and staged and gorgeous, and they'll pay $100,000 more because they can just walk in it.
Right. And yet it doesn't cost $100,000 more most of the time to fix up the deferred maintenance or those items that aren't done. We're not talking about datedness right now. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Right now we're focusing on one element, and that is the unmaintained. So the furnace maybe not having been changed out as much as it should be, or the filters on the furnace not having been changed out, shortening the life. So we're not saying there isn't a cost associated to not maintaining a house. There is. There is absolutely a cost associated to bringing a house back up to speed that's not been maintained. And almost always, people will overestimate what the cost of that maintenance is.
Yeah, like people will say, oh, a furnace, that's $10,000. Well, maybe if you're doing the air conditioning too, and you're doing the high-end furnace and a high-end air conditioner, yeah, maybe $10,000. And, they see the shingles and they think, oh, that's $30,000.
And it might be more like 20, or it might be more like 5 for the furnace if it's only the furnace. Just because the furnace needs to be replaced doesn't mean the AC needs to be replaced, because it doesn't get near as much use. They tend to last longer than a furnace because of the lack of use that they get. Now, at some point they become not efficient and you want to upgrade it, right? That would be maintaining and upgrading. And yet accurately looking at the assessments is seldom. And the funny thing is, as a homeowner, most of the time we underestimate what the cost is of the repairs.
Yes,
and
we
as
do.
a home buyer, when we're buying the property, we tend to overestimate and move the property out of our price budget.
Like a place with a couple broken windows.
Yeah.
Maybe it's $300-$400 per window or something, right? No, just for the glass. I'm not talking the whole window replacement. I'm talking the glass.
Yeah.
But people overestimate and they think thousands. They think, oh, I got to change the whole thing, and it's going to be, thousands, and the trim's got to come off, and then I got to repaint, and on. But maybe it's just the glass needs to be changed.
Right. And so accurately looking at the unmaintained house, because people don't really want them. And so one of our clients, one of my favorite, well, we have so many clients and so many great stories, but so they're all my favorite. So one of my favorite stories.
You might be your favorite too, so.
I know.
Yeah.
Right. It's true. And it was a waterfront property and it had not been maintained. And so, yes, there was some money to be spent in bringing it up to speed, and yet made way more than it costs to do the upgrades. And the beautiful part is when you do that method, although you have to live through a little bit of mess maybe, or maybe you can buy it and do the repairs before you move in, or maybe you're going to live in the house and do them while you're there. Either way, the beautiful thing is it's now your taste.
Mm.
It's not somebody else's taste, even for the type of air conditioning unit, even for the type of furnace. Like, even if it's just those structural items, like not structural, but sort of the
but
things that run
you can
the
decide
house.
whether you want to buy the $4,000 furnace or the $7,000 furnace. You can decide whether you want to put on the 25-year shingles or the 40-year shingles.
Or the metal.
Or a metal roof. You get to choose. Now, some people say to me, but I don't have the money. I don't have the cash to bring this property up. Well, thankfully, there's Purchase Plus Improvements programs through CMHC, which allows you to borrow basically more money. They say, oh, what would the property be valued at with all the renovations done? And so they loan you the money to buy the house. And then as the renovations are done, you get to provide those receipts. They send the appraiser back in, say, yeah, the work's been done. And then they issue the rest of the money so you can pay your contractors.
Right. And if you're thinking, I wonder if that's for me, is that an option based on my financial scenario? Because it's not just a conversation of the house. It's also a conversation of you. We would be thrilled to have a consultation with you. Although we're not mortgage brokers, we've been doing consultations with our mortgage specialist, with our client at the same time, when that's the best case even. So it could just be a straight up buyer consult with us or a seller consult, or we may choose that in this case, it's better to have a conversation with everybody because you are thinking that maybe for you, a Mortgage Plus Improvements would be great, or some other variable.
So I think one of the big things is to get an accurate account of what it might cost to bring a property up. And sometimes we've brought contractors in and you're saying, well, most places don't have conditions. You have to hurry, whatever. Yeah, but usually if the offers are delayed, we can book an extra showing, bring a couple contractors with us, figure out what it's going to cost to change those things, replace some windows, renovate a bathroom, whatever the case may be, and bring it up to your quality.
Right. And we also have a lot of experience. So therefore, often we can give you an indication and an idea of the cost as well. And you can get so many great estimates online as well. Like we can, if we want to figure it out, it's not that tricky to do an accurate assessment. And so we're in your court to make sure that you aren't disappointed once you get in and go, yeah, but it was hundreds of thousands more. No, we don't want that.
No, we're not going to get you into a money pit.
No.
That's
no
our
money
goal,
pits.
is never to get into a money pit. But, we've been builders. We've renovated multiple properties. We've owned many, many properties. We've owned investment properties. We own investment properties. And so hiring someone that has a lot of experience with real estate can really assist you in determining whether, we've even had people say, well, okay, if I buy this property and I renovate it, what will it be worth after? And we can find another property that's all done up and say, well, roughly, this is probably what it's worth. Now, is it worth it? You do that analysis and you buy the property that you really want.
Right. Again, we're looking at the relevant data. And if it's not on this show that you're hearing everything you need to know that there's hundreds of other shows that will give you the breakdown of elements because we're covering so much and we're grateful that you've let us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, really. Thanks for the privilege of growing alongside you because we're passionate about us all being positioned for generational legacy.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.